Hi all. I'm very happy to announce that we have reached 2,000 subscribers within a fruitful 6 months period. It has been a wonderful journey with all of you, and I look forward to more cybersecurity professionals join the committee. All your support and the time spent together is what encourages me and drives me to move this channel forward. To move forward, I hope to produce more useful information and we'll be looking at 10,000 subscribers for our next target. I seek all your support and sharing to make this come true. Hi, Cybersecurity Committee. Thank you so much for staying with this committee. And I hope everyone is safe and sound from this pandemic. During this pandemic, our normal working life is disrupted and most of people are working from home. This will include your company IT and cybersecurity team as well. Without a close reach to your company IT and cybersecurity team, and you are leveraging your company property to work from home, the more you will need to learn to be more independent and to take care of your company property and data. Even though a lot of companies and businesses are affected by this pandemic, there's still a need for all of us to be on the alert and maintain cyber hygiene. Based on the reported statistics, there's a 300% increase in cybercrime during this pandemic. And there is a cyber attack every 39 seconds. Cybercrime is already on an all-time high in 2019. And there are 3-time falls in 2020. This is a wake-up call for all of us. And it shows us the urgency to be cybersecurity aware and start learning about cybersecurity. The cybersecurity industry is going to be worth 6 trillion by 2021. And it is estimated that there will be 3.5 million cybersecurity jobs available but unfilled. The demand for cybersecurity professionals are on the rise. Therefore, everyone needs to be cybersecurity aware. Even if you are an IT project management professional, it's not just how well you can handle and manage the project timeline. But in today's environment, the scope for IT project management professionals will include securing the data, which will also involve the concept of cybersecurity. Not just project managers need to ensure the data on their hand is secure. Even for a personal assistant or any position in a company, they need to ensure that when they are handling personal or company data, they must have the know-how knowledge. As the prudent man rule goes, people expect you to know and deem such practices as common sense. No one wants such an attack to happen on their hand. So, knowing cybersecurity awareness is very important. And knowing cybersecurity will keep you safe from social engineering, like phishing emails, WhatsApp scams, SMS scams, and without knowing the consequences and how to deal with them, will result in your data being breached. And remember what we learned before on the 3 legs of the CIA triads. When your system is being breached by malware through a phishing emails, all the 3 legs of the CIA triad will be compromised as well. If you have forgotten about the CIA triad or require a quick refresher, do not worry. I have done out a quick sharing about the CIA triads in the later slides. Cybersecurity is always deemed as a heavy substance for someone new in the industry to learn and understand. But it's a must for us to understand more about cybersecurity. But there will be fundamentals in cybersecurity in which we must understand. Understanding all these fundamentals will allow us to understand the areas of focus we must have when it comes to the topic of cybersecurity and the common terms for cybersecurity. Now that we have completed our understanding and learning on the topic and basis of cybersecurity awareness, for the past 6 weeks, we have been learning about the basis of cybersecurity. And I always believe that practice will be a better way to reinforce our understanding. Today, I've done up 6 questions with answers to recap on some of the information to reinforce our understanding. So, do remember to subscribe, likes, share, and comment. For this committee, we will learn to increase our knowledge and awareness about cybersecurity. But over time, it will also allow us to assist anyone keen to use this channel to build up their CISSP, Certified Information Systems Security Professional, CISM, Certified Information Security Manager, and CISA, Certified Information Systems Auditor. And the ideal situation will be to have more cybersecurity professionals around the globe and keep building this community up. Just in case some of you are not aware of what I'm talking about with all these CISSP, CISM, and CISA certifications, I'll give you a quick overview of these certifications. CISSP, Certified Information Systems Security Professionals, is issued by ISO 2 for professionals who have passed the exam and fulfilled the credentials for the certifications, while CISM, Certified Information Security Manager, and CISA, Certified Information Systems Auditor, are issued by ISACA for professionals who have passed the exams and fulfilled the credential for the certifications. Both the ISO 2, Certified Information Systems Security Professional, CISSP, and ISACA, Certified Information Security Manager, CISM, are highly sought after IT security certifications. Let us now have a view on the toughness of getting such professional certifications. To become certified as a CISSP, Certified Information Systems Security Professional, you will need to have at least 5 years of full-time paid work experience in 2 or more of the 8 domains covered in the CISSP study topic. And examples of such domains will be security and risk management or asset security. The original of the CISSP, Certified Information Systems Security Professional exam, was a paper-based bubble sheet test consisting of 250 questions and need to be complete in a 6 hours time window. In the year 2018, the CISSP exams adopted a computer-based test, SBT, where it retained the questions count and the time limits of its predecessors. In this new format, the students sitting for the exam will view a minimum of 100 questions and a maximum of 150 questions. At question 100, the system evaluates your potential to achieve a passing score. If the system estimates your pass potential is 95% or higher, the test will end with a pass. If the system estimates your failure potential is 95% or higher, the system will end with a fail. As for the 5 years of working experience, there are also experience waiver available for those with college degrees and additional credentials if they are approved by ISO 2 or ISACA. The next step is to prepare and pass the exam. You will need to have a score of minimum 700 out of the 1000 points to pass the exam. And professionals holding on to these certifications will be deemed as globally recognized leaders in the field of cybersecurity. Anyone holding on to these certifications is deemed to have obtained a high level of understanding in cybersecurity. Before we start with the 6 questions, I would like to recap on the theory for the CIA triads and also the type of attacks under the CIA triads. CIA triads form the fundamental of cybersecurity, so it is worth for us to recap on this theory and to deepen our understanding. The CIA triads. The key to better cybersecurity protection will depend on the 3 key components. The decisions and ability to balance the 3 core components of the CIA triad will ensure cybersecurity protections, helping companies to avoid compliance issues, help to ensure business continuity, and prevent reputational damage to the company. For an individual like us, this is also important as well, as we need to know to ensure smooth protection of our data without unauthorized access, modifications, and also the ability to retrieve the data within the acceptable time frame. The 3 key components will be confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality is a set of rules that limits access to information. Integrity is the assurance that information is trustworthy and accurate. And availability is a guarantee of the reliable access to the information by authorized people. So now, let's recap on some of the common attacks under the CIA triads. Some of the most common confidentiality attacks will be installing spyware, malware on the server, cracking encrypted data, man-in-the-middle attacks, and data leakage. The first on the list will be installing spyware, malware, the cheapest and most common way of attack. In this attack process, the malware is finding ways to gain access to the system. They can be in terms of a keylogger system, trying to read your password in the background. Next will be cracking encrypted data. This will be considered a high level of gaining access to the system. In secure environment, most of the files are encrypted, including password files. Cracking or decrypting these files will allow the hacker to gain access to the system. A man-in-the-middle attack is like eavesdropping. When you are sending your password or data online, the hacker will try to get in between and spy on them, and hoping for a chance to get the password, and finally, to gain access to the system. The worst case scenario will be data leakage and unauthorized copying of sensitive data. Your password will be given out straight away, and hackers will be able to gain access to the systems. The following attack methods under integrity will allow and result in modifications without authorizations. It will destroy data, as this data will not be safe or good for usage anymore. Gaining the ability to remotely access to the system in administrator rights is a big no in cybersecurity. Not only it fails integrity, but also confidentiality. This will be the same for an unauthorized database scan. Once the hacker is able to gain access to the systems after the scan and able to modify the data in the systems, they will be able to change the access right. It fails both confidentiality and integrity. The same goes for maliciously accessing the servers and carrying out web penetrations for malware inceptions. First, they will try to gain control of the system. It works against confidentiality and modifies the data with fallbacks to failing of integrity. The common attack in availability will be flooding the targeted servers with many pin requests. This is known as Distributed Denial of Service, DDoS. This is the easiest form of attack and can be performed by a beginner hacker. Then will be more physical destructions attack, which will disrupt the server room power supply. And if there's no uninterrupted power supply, UPS, as the backup, the system will go down and will not be able to access to information anymore. This also means availability for and fail the measures. The worst nightmare will be ransomware attacks. We can tell by its name that this is a serious attack. What it does is that it will lock the systems or server in which the data rests and demand a high price to unlock the data. The ransom currency is commonly in Bitcoin. And when I say lock the data, I mean encrypt the data as well. So to get your data back, you need to pay for it. And before we start to go into the questions for today, let me also take this opportunity to share about a typical cybersecurity reporting structure for a company. This is something particularly important for your thoughts process. If you have the intention to grow yourself in the cybersecurity career. For today's sharing, I'll be touching on the high-level reporting structure, only on the C-level reporting structure. I hope this will motivate you to move in the direction you intend to set yourself, and you will know the goal that you'll be sitting at the end of the cybersecurity career. When we talk about cybersecurity in a company, you'll be hearing about the term blue team, and also another color team, which will be the red team. With color coding coming into the picture, does this make cybersecurity sound more interesting and exciting? And do you know what we are talking about when we talk about color in cybersecurity? There's a series of books called the Rainbow series guiding the cybersecurity standard. So, what is the Rainbow series when we talk about cybersecurity? And what's the role it plays in the field of cybersecurity? The Rainbow series is a series of 6 tall stacks of books on evaluating trusted computer systems, which is a series of computer security standards and guidelines. Published by the United States government in the 1980s and 1990s. They were first published by the US Department of Defense Computer Security Center, then by the National Computer Security Center. The term Rainbow series comes from the fact that each book is a different color. The main book is the orange book. The interesting fact is that in the cybersecurity industry, cybersecurity companies classify customer cybersecurity posture into different color codes. This will establish a common understanding and direction in the whole engagements. The term red team is used to identify an offensive team. In a normal case, will be referred to the hacking team, while the blue team is on the defensive end, and they will term them as the defenders. As shared in my cybersecurity awareness video, this cybersecurity game will need the two teams to work. Missing out any other party will dismiss the need for cybersecurity. Imagine, in an environment with no hackers, defender will not be required. And in an environment with all attackers and no defenders, the attackers will be able to gain access into the system without any roadblocks. So there will not be any need for cybersecurity, and the world will function without the concept of cybersecurity. When you are going through any cybersecurity awareness practical lesson, the red and blue teams will surface and they'll make it into a game. So you'll get your chance to play as a defender and get a chance to have a feel of the seriousness of becoming an attacker. Knowing how an attacker works will allow you to know how to play the role of a defender, and knowing how to defend your environment will allow you to have a better chance to know how to hack into the environment. In any battle, And in the cybersecurity game, we always say, know your enemy and know yourself, half the battle is won. Only when you know and can predict how your enemy will react and come into your environment, you'll be able to plan for their move and defend and also stop them from their intended path. Good planning will lead to victory, poor planning will lead to defeat, and worse, if you have no planning. In a controlled environment, the red team is also known as the ethical hacking team. When hackers become ethical hacker, it will mean that they are on the good side and is now the guardian angel in the environment. Their role will now change to check for the vulnerabilities, concerns, and also critical areas to patch immediately for the environment to ensure there will be no or any weakness. They are the mover that will try all ways and means to break the cybersecurity defense for the company. Penetration testing, black box testing, OWASP scanning, and social engineering are their common bread and butter for this red team. Having them will lead and boost the morale of the team, as they are the red team, the ethical hacking team, so they'll be able to talk to hackers and immediately react to every move of theirs, and they will know how these attackers will move. The blue team is considered the soldiers on the ground that will protect the computer's system for the company. This team will be the specialist responsible for implementing defensive security, damage controls, and incident response. They are the backbone or the last line of defense for the company cybersecurity posture. If this line of soldiers will be taken down, the environment will be exposed to all the threats. Having this team will also warn potential hackers that the cybersecurity hygiene of this company is healthy, and sending them a clear message that please move to other victims and not us. The blue team can also be considered as the workers' bees team. They will move and be running around the clock to ensure smooth and secure operation of the environment. When you talk about cybersecurity monitoring, active defense, and SOC, Security Operations Center, these will be a team to look out for. They are as important as a red team, and without them, you cannot complete your cybersecurity hygiene. Another team I would like to touch on for today will be the yellow team. The yellow team will be the code color for engineers and designing the cybersecurity defense team. Regardless if this is an on-prem solution or on the cloud solution, the engineers will be there and able to handle such complex and design solutions to suit the company operation. This is an uncommon team as the budget to upkeep and maintain this team is very high. This is for companies who will be coming up with their unique way of handling cybersecurity posture. If not, it makes no economical sense to deploy such a team. The common industry practice will be for the company to design a solution based on their compliance needs, according to regulations and orders in the countries the company operates, and also weighing the cost and risk elements for the right solution. It all boils down to the P&L, profit and loss, at the end of the day. From the diagram, we will narrow down to 6 key personnel in the company. In some companies, there will be more C-level kind of personnel, like your Chief Marketing Officer, Chief Human Resource Officer, which I'll prefer to call them the Chief Heart Officer, and also other C-levels. The reason why we are focusing on the 6 mentioned is that they are closely related to the cybersecurity team. Implementing the right cybersecurity team structure and the flow in the company is critical to managing the 2 essentials of the business aspects, the risk and the cost. There are also 2 ideas we need to keep in mind. Everyone in the loop will need to support the cybersecurity team and must be there to facilitate the business, not to work against the business. The cybersecurity team and the operation team must be partners. There will be times when the cybersecurity team must deliver the message that the business request pose a significant risk, but it's usually up to the business decisions to accept the risk or not. In a way, the cybersecurity strategy should be a top-down approach. The management focus is to help the business achieve the goal in a secure environment that's appropriate and reasonable for the risk. As a result, the business will be more likely to listen when those times come. Secondly, and lastly, it is important for the cybersecurity team not to overstate risk, but to keep the decisions logical and fact-based. A lot of consultants in the industry are tempted to craft out cybersecurity messengers based on UFD, uncertainty, fear, and doubt. They did this in order to secure their budget or funding for their proposal. There may be a chance they'll be using the UFD methods to make a point to the company. That may work once or twice, but in the long run, management will stop listening. Ensure that every team member keeps their presentations solid and fact-based, as risk is being communicated up to the chain and access to the business. As we understand that cybersecurity is a top-down approach, so the top chain of the reporting structure will be the CEO, Chief Executive Officer. In simple terms, the CEO is the highest ranking executive in a company, whose responsibilities include making major corporate decisions, managing the overall operations and resources of the company, acting as a main point of communication between the board of directors and the company. For most companies, their cybersecurity posture starts and ends at the highest level of management. The CEO, together with the board, must maintain an understanding of the risks and assume ultimate accountability and responsibility for the company's cybersecurity activities and their personnel. If the entire enterprise is affected by the CISO, something that best line of reporting is to the CEO. Next will be the CFO, Chief Financial Officer of the company. The CFO traditionally has two responsibilities. The first is to focus on delivering the returns on investments and sustain shareholders' value. The second is to prioritize corporate governance and risk management. Each of them is an important responsibility for the CFO. But the CFO has a critical role to play in enhancing and strengthening their company cybersecurity programs. As you know that finance owns the majority of data generated and used in the business. So the CFO will have the bird's-eye view of the business and the market. CFO will have a better knowledge and understanding of where sensitive information is stored at all times, how to secure, who can access to it, potential threats, and how they can get access to the information. With the speeds and complexity of threats changing daily, CFO must take actions and play a leading role in helping and leading the company to fight against cybercrime. We'll move on to the next position, the COO, Chief Operating Officer. They are focused on operations and business efficiency. They play a central role at the heart of the business and therefore needs to play a central role in ensuring it's protected from cyber threats as well. And traditionally, the COO will be the second in command, leaders among the C-level positions. They work with different departments across the company to ensure all parts of the business are working together to deliver the same goal. COO not only protects the business from damaging threats, but also build positive differentiators from their competitors. Now, we'll be coming to a big title in cybersecurity, the Chief Information Officer, CIO. The CIO is critical for IT resource management, especially when it comes to policy deployment, standard operating procedure development, practical development, training, resource budgeting, and planning during a systems or project development lifecycle. CIO is focused on maintaining a competitive edge for the company by focusing on technology. As we see more cloud implementation, multi-sites, and third-party software, the role of the CIO acts as umbrella over the IT projects, keeping all technology up to date, predicting the future directions of technology, and working towards and staying ahead of the company competitions. CIO often deal with every department within the company as technology is being implemented across the board to help simplify processes, make sense of data, and improve communications. CIO typically works on the business management side of the company and is more internally and operationally focused on their tasks. While the CTO, Chief Technology Officer, will be an executive role, typically reports to the CIO. CTO focuses its efforts on more long-term issues and new technology integrations. These technology integrations will include R&D, implementing new technologies, and creating business models to stay aligned with the target market. The CTO positions branch off from the original role of the CIO as technology advances, therefore require more redefined attention to certain projects within the IT department. Finally, will be the Chief Information Security Officer, CISO. CISO is unique and was brought into the modern company to monitor and analyze potential security risks for the company. CISO used to be 2 steps removed from CEO, reporting to CIO, but with increasing threats in the company and in the market, they are starting to receive C-suite invitations and have dotted line reporting to CEO. Companies committed to staying ahead of cyber threats highly value the role of the CISO and view cybersecurity as a multiplier and core to the business. In these companies, CISOs typically reports to the CIO with dotted line to the CEO and to the board. This is the most common reporting structure for large companies with a mature cybersecurity program. When leadership does not view security as a core to the business, but rather as a cost of doing business, the CISO is perceived as the technology caretaker of security technology. The goal is to minimize security drain on revenue and meet contractual security requirements. In this sense, the CISO tends to report to CIO. So now, let's get to our main topic for today, which will be having 6 questions to recall and enforce our understanding of cybersecurity awareness again. The first question for today: what type of attacks has occurred based on the diagram? There will be 4 options for us to choose from. This will be the same you will experience when you are taking your CISSP exam. A. Availability. B. Confidentiality. C. Disclosure. And D. Distributed. Look carefully at the diagram. There are a few hints for us to know what kind of attack has occurred. Firstly, it alerted us that the file has been encrypted. Encryption will happen to data at rest, in transit, or in use. This is the first question we need to know to help us with this question. The first thing we need to know will be that encryption will only happen to data at rest. So in this case, something has been done to the data in storage. The second hint will be that by looking at the message, we will know that they are demanding for bitcoins. Do decrypt the encrypted file. And there's a link to make payment in Bitcoin. So does that overall sound like a ransomware attack? Or is it other kind of attack? So, how does a ransomware attack affect the options given? The answer will be A. Ransomware is a form of malware that encrypts a victim file. The attackers then demands for a ransom from the victim to restore access to the data upon payment. Users will be shown instructions on how to pay the fee or to get the key to decrypt the data. But do always remember, not all hackers are ethical. A lot of these hackers in the industry do not play the gentleman way or the ethical way. Some hackers, even after you make payment in bitcoins, they will either ask you for a higher amount or they will go missing and your data is still encrypted. The common path of entry for ransomware is always through phishing emails. A phishing email is a type of social engineering attacks often used to steal user data. This includes login credentials and credit card numbers. And by having this information, they will be able to gain access to the system and hack into your system. So the reason to be cyber aware is to counter this. Imagine as a student and you're about to submit your final year project, but your document is suddenly being encrypted. Not only your effort is gone, but it might also affect your result and your future career as well. If this is a team project and all the important notes are stored in your computer, it will affect your teammates' performance as well. So now, let's move on to the next question. Which one of the following individuals would be the best and the most effective organizational owner for an information security program? This is to test your understanding of the roles and responsibilities of each of the people in the company. Option A, CISSP. Option B, your CIO, Chief Information Officer. Option C, Manager of Network Security. And finally, option D, President and the CEO of the company. Over here, they are asking for ownership in the information security program. Although cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility, there will be a position or someone in the company who needs to be aware and ensure everyone is performing their duty properly, according to the guidelines and policies. They are not involved in the daily operation, but their job scope is to ensure everything is followed and in proper manner. Remember, they are asking for the owner to information security program. You just need to find out such position and you have a clearer answers to this question. The answer will be B, Chief Information Officer. The owner of information security programs may be different from the individuals responsible for implementing the controls. This person should be as senior as possible who can focus on the management of the security program. The easiest way to push down a policy or change in a company will be from the top-down approach. Cybersecurity policy must be coming from the top-down approach. The president and CEO would not be an appropriate choice because an executive at this level is unlikely to have the time necessary to focus on security. They will be playing the role of a supportive leader, but never the owner of the cybersecurity program. So now, let's take a look at the other two positions, a CISSP and Manager of Network Security. As a CISSP, this is a professional certification and is not a corporate title. People who wish to display their professional qualifications and want to challenge themselves will go for such certifications. Just for example, Dr. Tan is a CISM, CISA, CH, and CDPSE. It shows that he is certified in the 4 professionals qualifications, but his title in the company is a principal consultant and not the CISM. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce one new term, the CISO, Virtual Chief Information Security Officer. In larger corporations, they will have a Chief Information Security Officer, a CISO, to provide the directions and manage the corporate cybersecurity program. These CISOs will come out with information security programs, initiatives, training, and even risk assessment. They will be the go-to guy for any compliance and regulations for their company, and will be the point of contact to face the media if there's any cyber attack in the company. For a company, a full-time CISO will be paid with an annual of 180,000 to 200,000. There will also be add-on benefits like bonuses, stock programs, and other compensation, which might increase the overall package to 250,000 to 300,000. Looking at such a high overall hiring cost, the motivation of retaining a full-time CISO is often discouraged for smaller companies. On top of the hiring costs, the expertise to find the right person to fulfill the duties of the CISO is also another challenge for smaller companies as well. Because company of the top management does not have the know-how and the right elements to look out for when hiring the CISO. While the cost to hire a Virtual Chief Information Security Officer, VCISO, will cost a fraction of the amount compared to the full-time CISO. Depending on the size and requirement of the company, a VCISO is an outsourced service and can go as low as 35,000 to 150,000 a year. This is still a fraction of the overall cost for hiring a full-time CISO. Even though the person is not a full-time staff and will not be in office most of the time, he or she will still able to fulfill the job of a CISO. And the cost to maintain a VCISO will also decrease over time as well. The cost decreases is due to corporate engagement, as the security infrastructure will require more work and slowly move into maintenance mode. The effort of building the infrastructure is heavy at the beginning, and over time will no longer be needed. Besides the costing, a VCISO is also or can be a consulting team that works virtually or remotely, but can also be stationed physically in companies if there's a need. This can also explain why VCISO only costs a fraction than a full-time CISO. Being a team of VCISO, they can work round the clock to service your company. And with such understanding, there's a rise of VCISO in many industries. In the economical sense, in terms of demand and supply curve, as the demand of VCISO increases, the virtual nature of them will keep the overall costing of VCISO going relatively low. Now, we'll move on to the next question. The next question will get us back to the concept of CIA triad. Here we go. Sally is a security administrator of her company. She's tasked with implementing information systems to ensure that staffs are not able to alter their records. What principle of information security is Sally enforcing? Here, Sally is trying to ensure that the company staff will not be able to modify their data. So what concepts she needs to focus on? A. Integrity. B. Availability. C. Confidentiality. Or D. Denial. A quick hint will be to remove the option that's not in the CIA triad. The answer to this question will be A. So, do you get the correct answer? What Sally is trying to design to prevent will be unauthorized modifications of information, and this will be integrity controls. So let's do a quick recap on the CIA triad. Confidentiality is a set of rules that limits access to information. Integrity is assurance that information is trustworthy and accurate. And availability is a guarantee or reliable access to the information by authorized people only. To ensure that no staff will be able to alter their own records will mean that she has to ensure the information is trustworthy and accurate. The above explanation already explained option A, B, and C. For option D, denial, this is a type of network attack, so it's not part of the consideration for the CIA triads, and should not be an answer for this question as well. Lastly, the trade-off for integrity will be availability. Let's recap on the relationship of the CIA triads. When we have too much confidentiality and integrity, it will affect availability. So let's have a quick view of a simple example. For example, if you are from the sales team and you like to increase the confidentiality of you accessing to customer data, to gain access to the customer folder, the normal and common way will be using the access control list. The system administrator will ensure that you are the right party to access to the systems, and you'll be able to access to it. But to increase confidentiality and integrity, now you will need more approval layer to gain access to the same information, which in a way it increases the confidentiality. Tallying with the access control list, you also need approval from your manager and need to be physically in your intranet systems. So now, comparing to last time, when you just need to click on a folder to access, now you'll need more layers and very inconvenient. Although the confidentiality increases, but we can clearly state that availability decreases. The next question will be a lot more interesting. It will bring us to attack mode again. So in this question, Sally discovers a keylogger hidden on the laptop. What information security principle is a keylogger most likely designed to disrupt? So the first question to find out will be, what is a keylogger? So do you remember what is a keylogger? Keyloggers are activity monitoring software programmed and designed to record keystrokes made by a victim. One of the common forms of cyber threats, these keyloggers records the information you type into a website or application and send it back to a third party. This person's data will include passwords, credit card numbers you type, the website you visit, and all the logging of your keyboard strokes. The options for this question are similar to the previous question, just that the answer sequence has changed. So remove the one that is not in the CIA triads. The answer will be option A, confidentiality. Keyloggers monitor the keystrokes of an individual and reports them back to the hacker. They are designed to steal sensitive information, a destruction of the goal of confidentiality. To answer the question in the next round, let's recap on the opposite of the CIA triads. A quick one will be, disclosure is the opposite of the core component of confidentiality, followed by destruction, which is for integrity, and denial, which will be for availability. So now we understand that if you overlook confidentiality, your information will be disclosed to others, and you're putting your information at risk. If integrity is compromised, data will be destroyed, and this includes log files, which are very important for audit purpose. And finally, if availability is overlooked, you have no access to your data, So now we have a clear and better picture of the CIA triads. Let's have our final question on the CIA triad for today. This will reinforce our understanding of the CIA triad. So here we go. Sally is working with the management team in a company to classify data in an attempt to apply extra security controls that will limit the likelihood of a data breach. Which principle of information security is Sally trying to enforce? A quick hint: when we are trying to classify data, we are in the first step to find out the right level access to those users in the system. When we are talking about the right level access, what we are trying to enforce here will be to only allow the right person or the authorized personnel to access to the system. Just another quick recap. Disclosure is the opposite of the core component of confidentiality, followed by destruction, which is for integrity, and denial, which will be for availability. The options will be the same as the previous questions, just that the sequence is different. So for this question, A, availability, B, denial, C, confidentiality, and D, integrity. So you know that this is for a CIA triads question. So you can remove the option which is not related to the CIA triad. I'm sure by now you'll be able to find out which one is not related to the CIA triads. So, are you able to get the right answer so far? For this question, the correct answer will be C. Confidentiality controls prevent the disclosure of sensitive information to unauthorized individuals, limiting the likelihood of a data breach in an attempt to prevent unauthorized disclosure. So far, how many questions do you manage to get it correctly? If you are using this as a quick reference to revise for exam and to gauge your standard, a quick guide will be to ensure you got 80% right for all sets of questions you are going through. By maintaining this 80% rule, you will stand a high chance to pass this exam that you'll be taking. And this will be the final question for today. Are you ready for this? If you want, you can put it on pause and refresh yourself up before proceeding to the final question. So I assume you are ready for this. Here is a question. Who is the ideal person to approve the company's cybersecurity plan? Does this question sound very familiar to the previous question we have come across? The previous question was to test our knowledge on the ownership of the information program. Let me give you a quick recap on the ideas behind the ownership and the reason why we are going through a lot of recappings of terms and ideas. This is so that we can reinforce these terms and ideas and make sure that you will sink into our mind. In terms of the ownership of information security program, although cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility, there will be a position or someone in the company who needs to be aware and ensure everyone is performing their duties properly, according to the guidelines and policy. They are not involved in the daily operation, but their scope of work is to ensure everything is followed and in proper manner. Does this position we keep talking about comes into your mind and comes into the picture for this question? If the person's scope of work is to ensure everything is followed, should not the person be the one that approves the policy? The four options will be A. Chief Information Officer, B. Chief Executive Officer, C. Chief Information Security Officer, and D. Chief Operating Officer. So, do you get the correct answer? The right answer will be option B, Chief Executive Officer. Although the CEO will not normally serve on the cybersecurity team, it is best to obtain top-level management approval for your plans to increase the likelihood of success adoptions. Always keep in mind that cybersecurity strategy should be a top-down approach. it should be approved by top management and escalate down to the ground. If not, no one will follow. And people will do their job in an unhygienic cybersecurity way. So, I also like to take this opportunity to recap on the two confusing positions, the Chief Information Officer and the Chief Information Security Officer. A Chief Information Officer, a CIO, is the Director of IT, Information Technology, and he will be aligning information technology with the company strategy. They are focused on improving the efficiency of processes, and they are always on the go for new technologies. They are more on the top strategy level management. The Chief Information Security Officer, CISO, is very new and is one of the most recently created roles in the company. The main role of CISO is to monitor and analyze the risks a company faces to guarantee data and information protection. They are more on the ground overseeing the daily operations. And the Chief Technology Officer, CTO, is responsible for the information technology, IT. This role is quite similar to that of a CIO, but the approach in this case is more technical. And very often, they just ensure the equipment is working, but will not focus on the security portion. So the Chief Information Security Officer, CISO, will come in the picture to be the checker. Most companies do not have both CIO or CISO in place, as it's too costly to maintain both. And for smaller companies, they might feel that the tasks required will not be able to fulfill both roles, and there will be many duplicate duties, so they will opt for only one of them. But in the bigger corporations, where both the CIO and CISO is established, the CISO will typically report to the CIO with a dotted line to the CEO and the board. This is the common reporting structure for a large company with a mature cybersecurity program. So this is just for a quick recap. Now, we have come to the end for today. So, how many percent do you score of the whole list of questions for today? Do remember to maintain 80% of scoring to build up the confidence and chance to pass the certifications you are looking for. We have come to the end of today's sharing, and I thank you for your time to make this happen. Your feedback and your contribution is very important, and that's what makes this video possible. Without them, I'll not be able to make such a video for sharing. Moving on next will be more interesting. I'm in discussion with a cybersecurity vendor to produce cybersecurity content for our learning. Let me keep this as a surprise till the agreement is reached. So remember to subscribe, like, share and comment, and I'll see you soon.